Believe it or not, there's actually a history with this stuff that even goes outside of hip hop. But John Lennon wrote a song called How Do You Sleep? And so in Paul McCartney's song, he said something about too many people or whatever. And that's the first thing that made John Lennon think he was talking about him. Now, I don't know what that came from, where the beef came from. But then John Lennon clapped back. And in his song Imagine on How Do You Sleep, the lyric was, the only thing you've done was yesterday, and since you've gone, you're just another day.
I didn't know we were getting a history lesson on this.
Well, and there's history behind everything, right?
That's true.
Yeah. And so, and you know, and it goes, like I said, so there's other stuff that goes beyond it, but when it really got big in hip hop, it's going to start with Roxanne.
So back to what I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to Life on Podcast. Yo, this is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere.
Yeah, because life happens to everyone, believe it or not. We are back with our friend Jahira. Y'all remember her, right? It was like episode 215 something, 16 something.
Like 200 and something.
Yeah, then this episode, she can't leave us alone. What's up? Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks
for
having me. I'm
Absolutely.
happy to be back.
No, that chair is forever open for you. There's some people who can get bumped if you're going to come in here, for real.
Aww,
just saying.
Who's got bumped?
No, I'm saying there are some people who can get bumped.
He was trying to slick talk over here.
I thought maybe we bumped somebody and I didn't know. I need to watch my back. You know, people be coming for vengeance.
I'm not oblivious.
Look, let
me clear. You are always welcome here.
Don't be trying to start no beef between us. You know what I mean? There's enough beef going on with J. Cole and Kendrick right now. So
here he go again.
Yes, man. I'm a master. I am a master.
I was so mad at it. It's terrible. Oh my God. The teasers are trash. Basura. Hot basura.
Well, that wasn't the teaser. So anyway.
Okay, let's go.
Now that the cat's out the bag. Yeah. So we do want to talk about this whole thing. So here's the deal. Because both of y'all are both hip hop fans like I am.
Kind of.
Right? Yes. Keywords hip hop. Not rap.
Not necessarily rap.
Right. So, and especially you, we both from up top.
Yes.
So this is kind of where a lot of this stuff sort of originated. But the whole thing with J. Cole and Kendrick, I'm going to just jump right into it. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why it's a quote on, I'm going to use that word beef very lightly. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why they're doing the whole diss track thing back and forth anyway. Because
it hasn't really been a back and forth yet.
No.
Well, sure it has. It's 1, 2, yeah, sure. It's on its third round. And now they both dropping. I'm about to tell myself, yeah, they both dropping albums now. So here we go with
promo.
what it is. I mean, it's absolutely promo. So for those who don't understand, there's actually a history behind this whole thing too. So the whole diss, for our vernacular slang impaired folks, you know, diss is short for disrespect, you know, or if you're a proper ghetto person, not disenchant. What do you call it when you disparage? That's that ghetto university degree.
Doing this?
Wow.
Yeah. So disrespect and disparage.
Where are you from? Trenton.
Yep. That's right. There's some educated folk in Trenton, but that's where diss comes from. And believe it or not, there's actually a history with this stuff that even goes outside of hip hop. You know what I mean? Because there was even before him, but there was a record that John Lennon did. Like John Lennon did a diss track.
Yeah, the Walrus
against Paul McCartney.
Yeah, the Walrus is dead.
The Walrus is dead?
You don't know that whole? You don't know the whole thing?
I don't know that one.
Google the Walrus is dead.
The Walrus is dead.
The Walrus.
Right. Walrus.
Yeah.
All right, I will do.
Yeah.
But there was something where so Paul McCartney first threw shots at John Lennon. And John heard it and thought, he was like, is he talking about me? You know, and as he kept listening, and later on, Paul McCartney actually admitted that he was talking about John. And so John, on his Imagine album, he wrote a record, and I think I put the lyrics down actually because I didn't want to forget it. Yeah,
For those that don't know, he's talking about
the Beatles. You're right.
Yes.
I figured when I said John Lennon, Paul McCartney.
Don't
People
assume.
wouldn't know.
I shouldn't assume. You're right.
Everybody ain't
talking about the Beatles. So John Lennon and Paul McCartney of the Beatles. Mm-hmm. But John Lennon wrote a song called How Do You Sleep? And so in Paul McCartney's song, he said something about too many people or whatever. And that's the first thing that made John Lennon think he was talking about him. Now, I don't know what that came from, where the beef came from. But then John Lennon clapped back. And in his song Imagine on How Do You Sleep, the lyric was, the only thing you've done was yesterday. And since you've gone, you're just another day. Uh-huh. And if you understand that, if y'all know their music, yesterday obviously was a big hit that John McCartney was on when they were in the Beatles together. But then Paul McCartney had a song called Just Another Day. And so that was a nice little lyric thing that John Lennon did.
I didn't know we were getting a history lesson on this.
Well, and there's history behind everything, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, and it goes, like I said, so there's other stuff that goes beyond it. But when it really got big in hip hop, it's going to start with Roxanne, the Roxanne Wars, the Roxanne battles. And so where that kind of originated from, so UTFO, the Untouchable Force Organization, you know, rest in peace, Kango, and Dr. Ice, actually, they both passed. But so they did a song called Roxanne, Roxanne.
Roxanne, Roxanne, can't you understand? Roxanne, Roxanne.
Which was a hit. Basically a girl who's not paying attention to guys who's trying to holler at her or whatever. It was just a record. Marley Marl, who's he's a legendary producer. This is before he really blew up. He and another promoter, they were putting on a show. And UTFO was supposed to perform at that show. But UTFO canceled on them. And, you know, as a promoter, that puts you in a precarious spot. And so while they were talking about it, whatever, somehow outside of Gramercy Projects, 14-year-old, what was her name, Lolita, Shantae Gammons or whatever, she heard them and she's like, yo, I'll do a diss record, you can clap back at her or whatever. So Marley Marl did a song with her and they called her name Roxanne Shantae. And so they did a song called Roxanne's Revenge to clap back at UTFO, their Roxanne record.
He got real mad and he got a little tired. If he worked for me, you know he would be fired. His name is Kango and that is cute. He ain't got money and he ain't got the loot. And every time that I see him, he's always...
But what happened is that turned into like over 30 diss records. Everyone started hopping on it. Why? Because Roxanne blew up. Roxanne's Revenge blew up. UTFO then found this girl, fine Boricua. I just remember that she was beautiful. But she did a record. Actually, that one might have been Roxanne's. Anyway, she did one that blew up. Everyone started hopping on this whole clapback. Now they started talking about family members and this and that. And like literally, it's the most to this date, the most diss tracks on one topic in history, in rap history.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it's like well over 30. So it became a thing, right? So that's really how diss tracks got into hip hop. And as you know, there's been billions of them, you know, ever since. But my thing with them, and a lot of them are dumb. So with the J. Cole, Kendrick, the reason why I don't understand how this is becoming a diss track thing and why I think it might be fabricated is because, so J. Cole and Drake did a collab. And one of the lines in there, J. Cole was talking about how he, Drake, and Kendrick are like the best in the game right now. And he called themselves the Big Three. Yep. Now, that could have been a play on Ice Cube's basketball league, which I think it was, an intentional play on the basketball league, the Big Three. So
I think you're reading too deep into that, but okay.
Well, I thought there was a lyric that made me think that. Okay. That's why I said that. As a matter of fact, he said something about overtime, or he made some kind of a basketball game reference, okay. I thought. And I could be wrong, so, you know. But anyway, so to me, that's a compliment. He's like, you know, the three of us, we the best in the game right now. Mm-hmm. Now, everyone knows rap is competitive. I mean, especially back in hip hop, it was all about talking ish. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes. You know, I mean, that's what it was. Kendrick
had to beat the hottest man.
Yeah, like I'm the man. I'm, you know, all y'all are sucker MCs. You know what I mean? I'm this and that.
Yeah.
But Kendrick, I guess, took exception to it. It was like, you know, he was like, mother F the Big Three, it's the big me.
Well,
and da-da-da-da-da.
Hang on, don't, because you know you like to leave details out.
Here we go.
You gotta talk about what happened in the next line after he mentions the
Go for it.
Because I didn't get it. I didn't get the shot originally. I was trying to figure out where it was at, and then I had to go back and really listen to it. Mm-hmm. And then like the next line, Cole mentions his name and Drake's name specifically without mentioning Kendrick. So they say that was a subtle shot by calling him the Big Three, but like naming him as like the honorable mention of the Big Three by not saying his name specifically.
And that's the thing. And that now you're getting into, because there's another term called sneak diss. Mm-hmm. And that is completely up to interpretation.
Of course.
Unless you're making it obvious, like John Lennon did back in the day.
But that was my thing.
Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney made it obvious.
They didn't. I was waiting for him to say somebody's name.
Right. That's my thing. I don't think this should be on the whole diss thing. But at this point, once the internet got it, it has its own legs.
Yeah, shout out to Kev on Stage. Kev on Stage did like a review when it first happened. And he was like, he had the same thing I had. I was like, yo, I didn't hear names, I didn't hear nothing. And his whole thing was about that. And he was like, when you get this track, like when Ether came out, what's the first thing they said? FJZ.
Right.
You know what it's about. There ain't no
like
questions
even go back
about
to 2000, like Joey, so Joey Badass and Troy Ave, they had a thing, right? Thing was, and the same thing, like Joey Badass was just talking about something low. I'm the greatest in this independent rap game, whoop-de-whoop. Again, competition. So Troy Ave's going to clap back. And you're like, no, you're not. You know what I'm saying? But then Troy Ave took it a whole nother step. See, Joey had a friend that actually had just committed suicide. He jumped off of a building maybe like a year or two before. Why Troy would include him? I mean, sometimes you include the associates, but why this dude? Like, why are you going to also call out his friend who just committed suicide? So now one, in rap, you don't disrespect the dead. You know what I'm saying? Right. But then two is like, this is something traumatic that freaking happened. Like, so you're not thinking not only just about Joey Badass, but you're not thinking about the dude's family. That took it too far. So I get where that beef came from. But again, it shouldn't have been a beef in the first place because Joey just basically said, my man sold more records than Troy Ave. That was the line. Okay. And? Right? Yeah. But then it turned into his big beef. So
I think a lot of times I think the fans have played more parts in some of these beats more than anything because of how we respond and our interpretation of whatever the subliminal subtle lines are. And the artists see that as a potential to capitalize on whatever's.
And that was to my point. I think you mentioned something earlier. You think it's just marketing, right?
Yeah, promotion. And I also, I do think that, but also the media has a big role in that too because they tend to want more, feedback and attention. Of course. And so nowadays, it's all about content. So Kendrick and J. Cole are like on the top right now. So let's get them both.
100%. 100%. And if you fall off into obscurity, we know that a lot of times they make up crap. You know what I mean? So,
and they add stuff. So and some of the stuff can be obvious, and some not. But people still think the quote unquote beef between like Eminem and Benzino.
Well, that might be another one, but what's the Machine Gun Kelly? Oh, I think that was fake. The Cardi and Nicole.
No, the Machine Gun Kelly Eminem thing was real.
See, but again, I'm telling you, if you hop on Google, you'll find a bunch of people think it was made up. Like to me, like hear about Cardi and Nicki Minaj. I thought that was real only because it got physical at one point. Yeah. But then I think what people are looking at is when they make up. Just how fast and out of the blue it is. You're like, well, if y'all can make up that fast, there's no way in the world this could have been that deep. As deep as it was sounding, you don't just make up like that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And sometimes the makeup is necessary because you got partners and business stuff involved, and it's like we ain't finna mess this money up. So if it's starting, and then you got to remember that when you get rap beef on wax. In some instances, that stuff spills over into real life. And when it spills over into real life and you start getting hoods and the streets and all that stuff involved, that's where problems start to happen.
And that's what I was going to say. I think it really kind of went way too far with the whole East Coast, West Coast thing.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? That's when it starts reading way too far. Because now it's like, you said this on the right. Now instead of just answering back on another track, now all of a sudden we pulling out pieces and answering in physical violence. Yeah. So that's when that crap goes way, way too far. But again, that's where... I get art imitating life, but especially in hip hop, we've turned now to where life is imitating art.
Of course,
and
because we've run out of stuff to do. I've got a terrible. I think this is gonna be bad, and I know it's wrong, but I'm hoping it's wrong because it's been out there we've been wanting a joint album. I say we collectively, the culture from Cole and Kendrick for a while. Like it's been buzz that it could possibly happen, and then now
it probably will happen now.
But see, this is the thing: are they going to do a joint album where it's like a joint album together, but they dissing each other on every song?
No,
it's going to be some kind of thing like that.
It's going to be set up. So this is under the assumption that this is fabricated. It's going to be set up like some kind of UN come to Jesus thing. Okay. Now we have these two great superpowers that have been battling, all of a sudden coming to make peace, which will be a landmark.
We already had that. That was 50 and Fat Joe.
It happens all the time.
That's a done deal.
Again, but that was 50 and Fat Joe.
Yeah. This is a new generation.
It's a new generation, new stuff now. You know what I mean? Like even the Drake and Meek Mill thing, I feel like I was like,
Wow.
Again, everyone's like,
I think that was real, but once Jay Prince kind of got involved and you found out what was happening, and it was like Jay Prince squashed it. Like when you hear that, it's like, all right, this was something more than just.
I believe I think it goes back.
Well, actually, that wasn't Meek and Drake. That was Drake and Pusha T.
Where Jay Prince got involved.
Yeah, when Prince got involved.
So I think the Joey Badass and Troy Ave is probably the greatest example of how it really kind of wasn't a big deal in the beginning, but somebody just went too far.
Yeah.
You know, somebody just went too far. And then once the fans get in and start fanning the flames, it's a wrap.
Then you got to keep it up.
Yeah, because ego involved at
Exactly.
this point, you know what I'm saying? So that's when, stuff starts happening. So that's the whole thing. So why did I even bring this up, whatever?
You wanted to educate us on the history of diss
But
tracks.
one, that'd be nice to know where diss came from. Yeah,
That part.
that'd
Aren't
be
you
nice.
smarter for that? Yeah.
Apparently, you
In
can't be
today's
smart
class.
and naive around these two. That's a private conversation. But yeah. So look, as fans, understand that there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on that you're not seeing on social media. You're not seeing in cameras. So just be careful what you buying into.
Wait a minute. Stop us, because you're getting real. Have you listened to 7 Minute Drill yet?
Okay, well, I have.
You have? Okay.
I have. I absolutely have.
How do you, just as a hip hop fan,
Go for it.
How do you feel about 7 Minute Drill? Cole's response to Kendrick's jab.
I had a hard time listening to it and not putting it through the "this is so unnecessary" filter.
Oh, okay.
So I had a whole hard time really paying attention to what was going on and taking it seriously.
Okay.
Because I was like, this is all so unnecessary.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Mr. Hyde.
So my thing is, that's why I was asking in the beginning. I didn't get a chance to really listen to Kendrick's, but I did listen to J. Cole, and I'm a huge J. Cole fan. I love.
Oh,
J.
so you
Cole. I
biased
feel
out the
he's
gate.
so-
Dope.
I think he's so dope.
So Cole won already for you.
He did, but I listened to it because he's a lyricist,
Right.
And I feel like he came through with his verbiage. Like I think he really did, but I didn't know what Kendrick said. So when you guys said what he said, it was like, okay, I get it, but I'm
And look,
still for J. Cole.
my thing too is obviously you're gonna have explicit lyrics, whatever. But to me, it seemed like Kendrick's was just explicit laden.
Yeah.
Which takes away from the fact that, dude, you're a lyricist. You know how to write and how to speak without giving up those rhythmic bars to just cussing. So that's the first thing that kind of shocked me about Kendrick. And the second, the fact that Kendrick even felt this was something to respond to took me way off guard. Now, look, I've never hung out with Kendrick, never even met him. Nothing about Kendrick I know personally. So I'm in the whole, I just know him from what I see and hear things. So I'll admit that. I don't know what his true character is. But if I were to go by his songs, I'd feel like there was some serious character going on there. So to me, this seemed like it was beneath something Kendrick would even go that route with. And that's why, to me, to make sense, I'm like, this has to be some promotion and some marketing going on.
Were you asking a lot of questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it just didn't make sense. I was just like, why are you even bothered with that statement that wasn't an obvious smack in the face?
One of the first comments I saw, and literally, it was like number 2, I think, was the fact that we haven't had an actual hip hop beef, and this is necessary for the quote unquote sport.
Somebody was probably like, hey, it's about time we had a...
And I mean, like, who you gonna, like? You want to hear Lil Pump and Uzi or something
Right,
like that?
don't
Like, is
nobody
what
care
you
about that, right.
want to happen? So I mean, I guess it's just like putting together a main event card and getting your 2 heavyweights to do it, and for the culture and for the sport of rap itself. Because I mean, if you're not like a URL, what's the other rap league that's still up now? Rare Breeds, like the battle rap. Like if you're not into that, then you don't really, you're not getting battle rap in rap anymore. You're not getting that kind of stuff as a consistent. So you go to the battle rap leagues to get that. But you want to see some of the mainstream artists that are carrying the mantle commercially for the culture to show that they are of the culture. So it makes sense from a commercial standpoint. Marketing wise, I just don't think it was. If that is true, I don't think it was done right. Because,
Well,
like you
what's
said,
done
the
right.
initial trigger to start Kendrick
right.
to say something just seemed
Yeah,
like
the trigger was,
out of, yeah.
but you take advantage of the short attention span of society now because of social media. Ain't nobody really gonna give any more thoughts about how it started anymore. Now they're just into the fact
Just waiting for the next
that
one.
it's a beef, and so you build on that.
I think it's also time to pass the baton with everyone everything that's going on again in hip hop world. Everybody was looking up to certain people, and some of these people are either fallen or they've taken a back seat or moved on to other things. And so now it's like, let's focus on these two because they're like the top. So let's get this going because that's why I think the whole marketing scheme of it. Let's get them going and then focus on this new generation.
Yeah, I mean, you're almost forced to, I use this phrase lightly, do what you got to do because it's such a saturated market. I mean, literally anyone can be a rapper now. And anyone thinks they can be a rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I can rap.
You know what I'm saying? So now, see, like if you had a Kendrick Cole, that's hilarious. Kendrick Cole, that was dope.
He said this on
if you had a J. Cole, or
this is the life.
Yo, look out for that new Kendrick Cole.
Kendrick Cole coming.
Hey, that collab, watch somebody take it. Watch they always having that duo thing.
Trademark it the day before.
Who did the
drops.
one versus? It was their own album. Somebody versus. Their two personalities.
Oh, a bunch of them did that.
Yeah,
you
but
had,
anyway.
T.I. did it. T.I. versus T.I.P.
But I think it's if you had a J. Cole and a Kendrick Lamar back in the 80s and 90s, they would just be on top of the world with it. But now it's like you have to find some way to stick out. And I always say, how do I be a blue dot in a yellow ocean?
The funny thing about you even saying it though, like, that's one of the bars that Cole says is talking about the fact that Kendrick doesn't stand out.
Right.
It was like 4 albums in 12 years, and he's like putting people to sleep. And
he sure did, which gives me more credence as to why this could be freaking fabricated.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But one thing I will say this with Jay, and because Jay is such a lyrical genius, I'm gonna say he did it on purpose. Is because fans can take this thing and take it to where it's not supposed to be, right? Because then you'll have fans of J. Cole going out trying to fight and shoot fans of Kendrick. Like, none of y'all getting paid. They don't even know who y'all are, but you going to do this stuff to each other, right? And it happens. But I love how like J. Cole will say stuff like blast you and this and that, but then he'll always refer back. He'll be like, then I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember the exact lyric, but it's something like, I'll destroy you on this mic.
Yeah.
Like he made sure to tell me something, I'm talking about the mic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wax.
Yeah.
Yes.
I man, when I heard that
studio.
lyric, I was like,
And he said
my boy
classic,
Jay.
He has a classic,
Yeah.
He bigs him up while he's
yep. While he's smacking him
destroying
down.
him.
We not saying he destroys you, Kendrick. Don't take that wrong. I don't want to stone this track.
Nah,
Like, stone's not important.
I guarantee you Kendrick will probably drop something before we drop this episode. It'll probably be out soon.
So anyway, look, use it for what it
Maybe it's a
is.
single.
Yeah, well, I think it's gonna probably be a whole project, and because again, I'm leaning into this is fabricated, and both of them got album. I mean, Cole's album's out. I mean,
right.
You know,
Exactly.
Kendrick's album's gonna be dropping, right, and it's gonna be the same kind of stuff.
And
I
they
think
meet
this
the numbers.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they're going to go on a tour.
together
Yeah.
or back to back,
Yeah.
trail
Yeah.
cities. Like it's
That's how. I mean, there's definitely a formula to it.
Absolutely.
And it is what it is. Just as fans,
enjoy the sport of rap.
it's entertainment. Just
That's it.
keep it entertainment. So if your boy don't like Cole and you don't like Kendrick, it is what it is. They don't know y'all.
Ain't nobody riding.
Right. They don't know
It's
you.
not a
So
West versus East.
Right. So anyway, so that's my whole take on the whole thing. We'll see where it goes, and it'll
I mean,
come
I'm
out.
looking forward to seeing what the next round will be from Kendrick.
It's one part of that shit that make me feel like, man, that's the lamest shit I ever did in my fucking life, right? And I know this is not what a lot of people want to hear. I know I can hear my up there right now like, nah, don't do that. But I got to keep it 100 with y'all, right? I damn near had a relapse, right? Because y'all heard some shit happen 2-3 weeks ago, however long it was. Y'all heard that bazooka that was dropped on the game, right? So all of this time of me moving on my own accord, for the first time I was tested. Why am I tested? Because I got the world and I got my like, what you gonna do, Cole? Boy, I must have had 1,000 missed calls. Text flooded, I couldn't even answer my it's wartime, right? And I was conflicted because one, I know my heart, you know what I mean? And like, I know how I feel about my peers, these two that I just been blessed to even stand beside in this game, let alone chase their greatness, right? So I felt conflicted because I'm like, bro, I know I don't really feel no way, but the world want to see blood. I don't know if y'all can feel that, but the world want to see blood. So I say all of that to say, in my spirit of trying to like get this music out, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I moved in a way that I feel spiritually feel bad on me. Like I try to like jab my nigga back and I try to keep it friendly, but at the end of the day, when I listen to it and when it comes out and I see the talk, that don't sit right with my spirit. That disrupts my fucking peace. So what I want to say right here tonight is, in the midst of me doing that, trying to find a little angle and downplay this catalog and his greatness, I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest to ever touch a microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I. So I just want to come up here and be like, publicly be like, bruh, that was the lamest, like, I say all that to say it made me feel like 10 years ago when I was moving incorrectly. And I pray that God align me back up on my purpose and on my path. You know what I mean? I pray that my really didn't feel no way. And if he did, I got my chin out. Take your best shot. I'm gonna take that on the chin, boy. Do what you do. You know what I mean? Like, all good. Like, it's love.
I'm gonna keep an eye on it just because it ain't nothing else to watch and rap. Listen,
right.
I listened to my R&B playlist last night. I had L.I.F.E on, Genuine was playing. I ain't listened to a rap album in about a week. So this was the first.
Shout out to R&B resurgence.
For real.
Yes.
Like, R&B's freaking resurgent,
it's doing
and I love it.
Just so shout out to my long doing her thing, loving it.
Yeah, I love
but this is the first thing rap wise that's made my ears stand up. That made me interested.
Well, you know why?
Check something out
Because lyrically, it was kind of actually worth listening to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
why.
okay, y'all gonna battle about stupid stuff. It's fine, but at least it's gonna be creative and actually have some skill involved.
And that's, you know what? Let's give it that.
Yeah.
Let's give the Giants the kudos for being able to take something that seems remedial and trivial at the moment and actually making it entertaining creatively without actually having somebody
Keyword
behind it.
creatively.
Exactly.
I'm working with this new rapper now. He obviously no names or anything like that. I want everyone to pursue their dreams, but he's talking about how when he writes, you know, it's just off the top. I just freestyle it, and look, I get it. There's a respect that comes from being able to freestyle. There's a respect of you writing your own raps, which is it's a kind of a prerequisite. No one sees you as a real rapper if you're not writing your own lyrics. Right. And it's almost like if you can't just go in there and not write it down, just do it on the mic, they don't respect you. Just don't forget the art. And I think that's one of the reasons why rap has become the trash that it's become. Now everyone thinks they can just go in the booth and just
blame Snoop, blame Jay, blame Wayne. They did this. Once it got out that they was freestyle kings and they weren't writing stuff down.
Yeah, and my thing is I don't blame them because it's cool. Because I mean, in that case, you don't want to blame Jordan. Because everyone walks around thinking they Jordan.
Well, no, you gotta blame Steph Curry for ruining the NBA. Now Steph will say, "I ain't tell y'all to shoot from the 3-point from the half court line," but I mean, he out there doing it, and you know kids gonna see it. So once the Titans start doing it, you know the kids are gonna not study
kids
what's
just know
behind
this.
it. So
know your lane.
There you go.
And drive in your lane, because no one does your lane better than you. And when you start being in somebody else's lane, guess what? It's going to get found out and you're going to clown yourself.
Well, I'm put it to you like this. Remember, a lot of y'all done been to Atlanta or live in Atlanta. You ain't got your own lane. It's 6 million people here. It's 4 lanes.
Facts.
You going to be sharing a lane with some folks, but don't
Just
be
be the
trying
best
to
in your lane.
Don't be trying to bogart over and don't do
The key word is your lane.
Yeah,
that's the key word,
one.
your lane. If you got to write your stuff, spend a few hours crafting it and going to... Don't nobody care.
Listen, if you gotta let ChatGPT take your first 4 lines and then extrapolate for you, and then you fix it later, I mean, don't tell nobody. But if that's what you gotta do,
Now that's a good point too. Whatever it takes to be true to the art,
right,
is what I'm saying. That's what we're losing. Is the truth to the. That's why I tell people all the time. I differentiate between hip hop and rap. Yeah, we understand hip hop includes graffiti and DJing. I understand that as far as the culture, but you didn't. If you was in a cipher and you came up with some of the nursery rhymes they saying today, whoo!
Well, I
you'll be
mean,
the clown of the hood.
What you mean if it happens excess of
All the time, so I'm saying you be the clown of the hood. It's not even funny.
I wish they would stop doing the freshman cipher at the BET Awards. I just don't. It hasn't been anything the last 6 or 7 years. So I think what's happening is that instead of, we've kind of digressed a little bit from what the conversation was, but instead of the focus being on mastering the art form and being creative within the mastery of the art form, they're seeing what someone has done that has mastered it and trying to skip steps. And when you skip the steps, then the art isn't art. You're watching J. Cole and Kendrick do stuff that's still masterful. Again, even though I'm not gonna try to figure out why, because I think we've settled it. It's a marketing ploy. Yeah. But we're going to watch them be creative for probably 2 or 3 more rounds, and it's going to be engaging and entertaining, and then we're going to see them on tour together in a year and a half.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Steps part is crazy. Y'all know we record this out of Icon Studios here in Atlanta. One time there was these guys in the rehearsal room. Now, usually when people get in our rehearsal room and I'm in the office, I got to go, right? Because usually there's a lot of yelling. So these one cats, they were younger guys. I had to put them maybe like 19, 18, whatever. And the guys sitting there, they get on the mic. Sorry for the sound. Chill. No, all this stuff. Blah, blah, blah. And the guys rapping and dudes are yelling over them. It sounded like a hot garbage mess. And so I said, I can't. I got to help. They're not asking for it, but I got to help. So I go in. And I introduced myself as the owner, whatever. And right off the bat, I said, you know what? I'm a comp this studio time for y'all. This is back when we only allowed them to do an hour. I said, I'm gonna pay for this hour for y'all. So, and they was like, oh, thanks, man, appreciate it. I said, but you gotta let me throw 2 cents in. And of course, they were open. So I pulled up a video of a Jay-Z show. And if you just watch it, it kind of just looks like you got some posse on stage and they all walking around just doing whatever. But then I stopped and I broke it down. I said, now watch what happens when he walks over here. And this guy walked behind Jay-Z. As soon as he did, the other guy walked to the other side. And then I said, now watch what happens when they come up when Jay-Z says this lyric. And they noticed that 2 guys walked up to the front and all 3 of them had towels out and all 3 of them said, I said, do you think they just did that because it just happened to be in sync? I said, it looks like chaos, but that chaos was rehearsed. That was organized, choreographed chaos. I said, y'all don't see that. You think he just got his boys up there and everyone's just talking and yelling over each other and yelling the lyrics together. That's not it at all. I said, that's why that's a show and this isn't. And they were like, damn, I didn't even know that. And I know they didn't know it. And it totally changed their whole parameter. And
artist development doesn't exist.
But again,
my thoughts, exactly.
But it's going down to the art is my point, is the art. Is to what you said. You think there aren't steps. What brought this out of me is when you said they feel they see what they're doing and they want to skip the steps.
Correct.
You don't see the steps.
Right.
But there's steps. And even what looks like chaos, there was steps to that chaos where it was on purpose. So I hope a whole lot of y'all get to that. But, R&B is coming back, so it's kind of hard to just go so willy-nilly.
Expound, Jahira.
Please do.
Like the whole
artist development thing.
The artist development stuff. Like you gotten to see it up close and personal, and what happens when there's a lack thereof.
Yeah, and there has been a lot of changes now where even as an artist, you have to know. It's so much that you have to understand and know within the industry outside of just artist development. You have to, because everything is so much independent now, right?
Sure.
So you got to understand that you got to push yourself. You have to train yourself in every aspect of it because it's so much to the art. Like you guys were saying, it's so much more than just getting on the stage and performing. You got to understand what's happening after. You got to understand what's happening before you hit the stage, and you got to prepare it all. It's all work.
Steps.
Work. But you got to love what you do, and you got to be true to yourself, which goes back to authenticity.
One of the things I tell artists to do all the time is when you go see your favorite artist in concert, go see them in another city. So you can see how exact that show is.
Or at least really close.
It's super close. I mean,
the city,
costumes might change, outfits, but I mean, the blocking, where they are at a certain point on the stage, all of that stuff is so precise.
It's all rehearsed.
And when you see just how much preparation goes into making that show exact, it's why you can go on break for a month and come back and do the exact same show after 2 or 3 rehearsals, because you beat that rehearsal. It's the same show.
Yeah. Going back to R&B really quick, like you know, New Edition. That's an amazing group to go check out.
Oh, yeah.
If you see them, I mean, yeah, they started the dance moves back when they were like 10, 8, however old you little
And
kids.
the steps are a little slower now, but
But they still got
They still
it.
stepping, though.
Can't get that
and
Bobby
you can't
video
say
out of
all
it.
of them
That
though.
dude like,
right.
All of them aren't slow.
That's hilarious.
I mean,
No.
slower,
No.
but they're
Yeah.
still in sync.
Mm-hmm.
They know their steps.
Ronnie
They got-
don't age.
Man, Ronnie's still
don't-
14.
Ronnie's still 14. Ronnie don't age.
I'm like,
man.
Ronnie, you making me sweat, bro. And I'm watching.
Right. Does he even have a gray hair yet? You know what I'm saying?
That is a great group to watch to me because they did the work. They still do the work. Like
Yeah.
right now, they got their residency in Las Vegas, and they take literally like a month or two to get their shows, even though they know all their steps. They still go in hard on the paint and rehearse all together and get it all right.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. You got to take the time because it's time, energy, dedication, and you just got to stay focused on that. And
Yeah.
don't be distracted by what other people are doing. Focus on what works for you and make that happen.
You hear that, Kendrick Lamar? Stop worrying about what everybody doing,
Yo,
dog.
that's so funny. I started to say that. And when you do that, you won't have any beefs.
Nope.
Lifeonpodcast.com.
All three.
All right. Where can they find you, Jay?
I am Jahira. Do I need to?
Please do. Because we have a whole lot of new listeners that are listening to
Okay,
this.
IamJahiraA. Real simple.
That was better.
I am Jahira on Instagram. And I just joined TikTok.
But why? It's going away.
I don't know. It's my first time.
Did they lose it? Did
No,
they?
TikTok right now is, if not the #1 music discovery platform at this point.
Oh, you don't know about the band thing.
I do know about the band thing.
Okay.
That don't mean anything.
Okay.
That's not changing nothing.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just
impacted.
joined, so if I'm late,
It's not
then
gonna
I'm
change
late.
anything.
I hope homie sells it. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we'll see.
Oh,
Go ahead. Where can they find you?
Just Johnny Vaughn. How you spell it? JUSTJONYVAN. All over the place.
Y'all already know what
That
it
was
is.
cute.
They be like, I like it when the Stones turn. It's so simple.
No, it's
Stone
not.
Stafford with 2 F's.
See?
.com. I just threw that in because of her. That's all it is. Now we appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
Please tell a friend. Such a simple act that has such a high impact. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all.
Pin this episode, and then as this beef progresses and we
Yeah,
get
add
more
in your
records,
comments.
let us know what y'all think about it. We're
For
gonna be
sure.
coming back. Yep.
All right, love y'all. We
Thank
out.
y'all
Peace.
for having me.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.